Dan di studio bersama saya hari ini bagi mendalami lebih lanjut mengenai prospek pasaran saham tempatan dan ASEAN termasuk masa depan syarikat berkaitan kerajaan ialah Dr. Nazri, Ketua Penyelidikan Runcit Affin Investment Bank. Hi Nazri, and
hi,
yet again,
yes.
It's nice to have you here with us again as always.
Happy New Year.
All right, you too. Happy New Year to you.
Yes.
And Nazri, maybe you can comment a bit as heard in the earlier report about the KLCI is going to end fairly higher
Correct.
at the end of this year, hitting the 1,700 benchmark point. What do you think about that? What's your
I
take
think
on that?
it's highly achievable, especially if we look at the second half of next year. We are a bit cautious in the first half of this year. Yeah, first half of 2012 because of several factors. The uncertainties that we see, especially at the European level. But in the second half, yeah, we definitely are positive because of a few things. We believe the positive effect of the coordinated policy, such as the coordinated interest rate cuts and all this, it will take at least 2 quarters before it gives positive impact on the economy. Secondly, we believe that towards the latter half of the first half this year, we possibly see what we call the QE implementation being conducted at European level. We believe sooner or later the only politically feasible solution or credible solution for the European debt crisis is actually to print euro. We don't think austerity plan is feasible at this moment. We believe countries, especially in Europe, on the left wing of Europe, definitely we can see the changes political regime. The people at large do not like the idea of austerity plan. So the only way going forward, I believe, is that is the printing of euro. You can call it coordinated QE in Europe, which is likely to happen in the later part of the second half. This is because we believe the economic slowdown is likely to peak sometimes in May or June this year. And don't forget in Malaysia, because of the election, we believe assuming election is conducted in the first quarter this year, we think there'll be a clarity after the election. There'll be more political certainties, and definitely risk premium is likely to subside gradually after the election. And so we are optimistic on the second half next year.
For the second half of next year. And if we flash back a bit in 2011, we actually saw quite a number of risk aversion phases. Correct. So what about 2012? Since you mentioned that the first quarter of 2012 would be quite a bumpy road, so when would this situation stabilize?
Again, if you look at the history, normally 2 months before the election is announced, you see already market risk premiums start to go up because they start to price in the perceived higher political risk due to election. So stocks that is linked to politics, especially construction and properties, I think will be the stocks that is likely to get some drags or some breaks because of this higher risk premium. Anyway, we believe there are some possibilities that in the second half, in the second quarter of the first half, we may see Bank Negara going to cut OPR further, perhaps by 25 or 50 basis points, to accommodate the worsening external market condition that we see at this moment. Apart from that, we also believe currently we can see that S&P, Fitch and Moody has already given warning that they are going to downgrade massively countries in Europe, and we can see there's no strong, credible actions on the part of European politicians. We believe there is high probable that S&P and Fitch or even Moody is likely to downgrade the European nations. If you look at Italian bond yield today, it still stay above 7%. So to us, the bond yield staying above 7% is highly unsustainable. Just imagine Italian bond, 500 basis point above German bond. We think that is not sustainable. If there is any spike in the bond yield, of Italian bond yield, say to 8%, definitely this will create financial shocks. And it take a while before it actually, stabilize. So I think in the first quarter, we may see some pressure there, more on the external condition. I would say that at this moment, a composite index is playing a tug of war. Locally it's positive, very positive because of Chinese New Year rally. You can see all these small cap stocks being pushed at this moment. And festive season, all this. But at the external condition, which are our concern at this moment, Italian bond yield and definitely possibility of them S&P to downgrades any time from now.
And since we're talking about themes for 2012, the election, general election, the upcoming one, is one. And what do you think about the Malaysia and Singapore relation? Will it be a theme in 2012
That's a good
as well?
question, Serena. Yeah, I think Singapore will be a major theme for Malaysia this year. We can see that our bilateral relationship has been improved tremendously. We can see a lot of Singaporean investment. In this case, I would say Johor in particular, stock that have link in Iskandar especially. We're talking about properties and construction is likely to get a lot of benefits. We believe there'll be more properties and projects that's going to accelerate, especially in Johor. And don't forget that with this team, Singapore teams, Malaysia is also likely to get some foreign fund inflows, hopefully in the second half of this year.
And speaking of which, if the condition in external condition, as you mentioned, plays a major role. So what if the condition in Europe, it's not getting any better? It's obviously going to affect our market. So at what level will it test the KLCI?
Again, that is tough for us to predict. At the end of the day, it's actually the GDP. How much GDP we are able to generate for this year. The consensus view is that our Malaysian economy this year is going to moderate, but still remain resilient. AFIN, for example, our economies are pegging GDP this year about 4% for this year, from last year 4.8%. But we believe domestic demand is going to be healthy this year. Not only that, our current account surplus is still good at 100 billion ringgit. At the end of the day, we believe what is important is government wisdom to push the economy. I think there'll be government spending this year is going to be more dominant compared to last year. So it's possible that the government may accelerate some of the development projects that has been shelved before, such as highway, Gemas Johor Bahru Highway. We see Jabur Kuala Terengganu East Coast Highway, Banting Taiping West Coast Highway, Segamat Tangkak and Kota Marudu Ranau in Sabah. All these are potential projects that we can use to push.
Okay, Dr. Nazri, we'll go for a short break after this, and when we return, maybe we can talk a bit about your report about expectation that our government would be reducing its hold in a GLC company after this. Dan Bisnes Awani berehat seketika, jangan ke mana-mana.
MasterChef Malaysia kini sudah bermula.
Makanan di ofis yang terbaik, Roger!
Emosi dan perasaan memuncak.
Tak boleh lah, Brian. Tak boleh lah.
Ramai yang tertekan.
Apa awak tunggu lagi? Keluar.
Dan ada yang dipaksa keluar. Mampukah mereka menghadapi bahang di dapur MasterChef? Saksikan MasterChef Malaysia eksklusif di Astroria.
Penaja utama MasterChef Cooking Magic daripada Panasonic untuk masakan lebih enak dan mudah. Tajaan bersama Hong Leong Bank. Nikmati tunai benar dengan kad Fortune Hong Leong. My Chef, the new gourmet experience. Dan Jaya Grocer, a great place to shop.
Grand Billions mempersembahkan Ada Sesuatu Yang Tertinggal
Rumah tu dah lama ditinggalkan. Mesti ada hantu.
di sebalik rumah pusaka.
Ada benda keluar dalam almari tu tadi.
Abang dah
Yang
cakap jangan ambil
agak.
dekat. Syirik tahu tak?
Kembali menghantui mereka. Sesuatu Yang Tertinggal 5 Januari 2012.
Manis wajahmu kulihat di sana, apa rahsia yang tersirat, tapi sayangnya dapat kulihat mesra wajahmu dengan senyuman. Senyum, 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 senyum.
Senyum, jangan tersenyum.
bertemu kembali dan kita masih lagi bersama dengan Ketua Penyelidikan Runcit Affin Investment Bank, Dr. Nazri. And Dr. Nazri, we're back on air.
Yes,
you've also mentioned that there are 6 major teams for 2012, and probably during the second block we've mentioned probably about 2. So maybe you would like to enlighten us with what are the other major teams for this year?
That's a good question. I think this year is going to be an exciting year for investors and traders alike. We have identified at least 6 teams for this year. The first team, which I think is the most important, is the coming of mega IPO, which I believe most of these IPO is related to GLC, floating their own subsidiaries and that kind of stuff. We are going to see the flotation of Felda, for example, in the first quarter this year. That will become easily the world's largest plantation stocks, basically putting Sime Darby at the second spot. So Felda could be the first mega IPO. We may also see another healthcare, KPJ kind of, competitors. Another IPO, I don't know, maybe they call it Parkway Malaysia. We may see Astro, Malakoff, Tanjong, Magnum. This can be floated again. So mega IPO is the first team. Second team definitely is the general election, assuming it's going to be conducted this year. We believe stock that is linked to politics, we may have some benefits. Stocks like UMLand, MRCB, stocks like MMC, Gamoda, all these are stocks perceived to have good political connection. The third teams is here the divestment of government stakes in GLC, the divestment of government prime land. I think in this team is likely to benefit some property stocks that is able to buy all these government real estates. And then the fourth one we believe is the M&As, consolidation. Privatization after the second financial sector master plan being announced. We believe banking, brokerage, insurance and possibly properties. Some of these stocks are likely to see a big consolidation this year if economy recovers. We also believe, again, we have talked about this Malaysia-Singapore relationships. And then the sixth one, which is the final one, is definitely the creation of the local ASEAN regional champion. I think government has identified a few stocks. Our government is going to give some incentive for them to go abroad, become multinational, bring money back to Malaysia. So the stock that we have identified here may be Asia, Asia, CIMB, Genting, Axiata, Maybank, IGM, Sime Darby. There's a lot. Parkson, these are all the teams which believe is going to be a good catalyst to excite the traders and investors.
And you said we can expect a lot of M&As for this year.
M&As,
and major M&As. And which does this mean that it's going to be a good year for that move?
Well, it depends which stocks you buy, definitely. Of course, I would say price is important, the pricing and the valuation. And normally the acquiree will do better than the acquirer. Of course, ceteris paribus. But we believe banks, especially, because we think government made it clear that they are going to consolidate banks. Currently, we have 9 local full banks. Maybe we may see the number of local banks to be reduced. I don't know, 4 or 5 by this year or next year, since we already have 20 foreign banks in Malaysia. So consolidation is important.
Okay, and then speaking of IPOs and market launch and whatnot, maybe we can talk a bit on the foreign IPOs in Malaysia, because as we've seen, some said that since 2008 and 2009, this condition has not been improving, whereby we have very few IPOs, foreign ones in Malaysia. So what do you think about this? In 2012, can we expect a lot?
You mean foreign IPO coming to Malaysia?
Yes, coming into Malaysia.
Yeah, I think it's possible. In fact, there are talks that we want to bring some Indian stocks, IPO coming to Malaysia. There are rumours. Because last year we see a lot of China stocks. Some of them do well. Some of them, probably because economic condition. I think this year, why not? We can talk about IPO coming from Middle East. Why not? From India? Yeah, possible. But to us, what is important is definitely the timing. What we call the recovery in the equity market. We think there are high likely that GDP is going to bottom, maybe second quarter this year, and market normally recovers about 1 or 2 quarters earlier than that. There's high possibility that we may see some recovery after after second quarter of this year.
And speaking of the market, obviously we have to touch on the Euro debt crisis. Everything is centered around the Euro debt crisis. So how will all this go down to? I mean, what sort of possible outcomes are we looking at, and how will it affect the market in the end of the day?
Okay, economies alike have already classified in 4 scenarios. The most bullish, the moderately bullish scenario, the most bearish scenario, and the moderately bearish scenario. We think the second scenario is likely to play out. In the case of most bullish, we will see a package of solution, a drastic solution will be done at the same times. That means we will see euro printing on one hand, we see ECB taking more active role to buy distressed bond, we see IMF given a mandate to help the European banking stocks. All this will be done at the same times. This is the most bullish. Anyhow, we don't think this scenario is likely to happen. We believe the second scenario, which is the moderately bullish, is going to play out. In this case, what we see is that we'll see a gradual step-by-step solution being taken. Maybe we see fiscal integration followed by political integration or political union. Then maybe we see ECB, and finally we see IMF. I think that is the most likely scenario. The most bearish scenario is when we see 3 or 4 countries in EU exiting the EU at the same times. We may see Italy, we may see Spain, all this, exiting at the same time. That is the most bearish. The moderately bearish is that all these countries exit, one step by one step. Well, whatever it is, we don't think the bearish scenario will play out. We believe the second scenario, which is the moderately bullish, is going to happen.
All right, Dr. Nazri, thanks for the explanation.
Thank
and
you.
looks like that's all the time we have for today. We hope to invite you more in the future to our studio. Dan perbincangan itu tadi Mahari Bisnes Awani. Saya Serina Malikam. Teruskan setia bersama Astro Awani, berita segenap dimensi. Salam hormat.